in this community will have. Because
Zoom me with my Kiwanis club. I need to
that our
turn this volume down a little bit.
organizations have made for our
Right.
outstanding. In fact, driving down this morning, June gets a call from the Roanoke City Sheriff Department.
No, my wife takes care of it.
Sent out the truck retriever flyer for the city police department who was doing a truck
I'm fine.
Oakland. If you can help in any way by giving candy or showing up and helping, they truly appreciate it. So, Coach Sheriff's Office, excuse me.
You're out which doctor?
Also, Jeffrey
I'm not, sorry, I'm not sure which doctor you're talking about. Oh, over there. No, I'm not seeing him anymore. I've changed to a Carillion doctor.
To receive the
Yeah, I'm going to a Carillion. Well, thank you for calling. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm sure Miss Larry. Yeah, for thyroid and low thyroid. We got over that. He was Thank you very much. Spend 6 hours in the evening. So he's here. Still in a style. So fun dreams. So we have cards that we're collecting for Ruth, and we have a for Ruth that we to him because he couldn't come. But we are and sounds got a card that you could sign. We're going to pass around for Ruth. So if you brought a card, that's fine. If you didn't, we'll have one for you to sign. So well. Our call to introspection and our pledge of allegiance today is that's my part. Oh, here's this stupid guy. You have praise
conversations at the table I was at about
you missed your big opportunity.
It sounded very exciting and everything, so I thought I would give you some thoughts.
I just got a call from the nurses.
I picked it because I didn't know if you're going to pick
it. Turned out you're supposed to win. And I finally said, who am I going to?
Those that hear and eyes that see,
I'm not seeing him
the
anymore.
both.
Oh,
After all, good
that
common sense
guy.
comes from God.
Oh, he's
And it's a
thinking
Vietnam guy.
thinking it was the doctor.
I was trying to hit me.
Yeah, win. W-I-N-N.
Yeah, the
understanding.
that Vietnamese guy we hated.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
but interestingly, the woman who called me was Larry Monahan's. Larry's widow. Yeah, and she knew me, and she heard about the prostate story about my upper thyroid and lower thyroid and all. He said, "Well,
my sleep shall be sweet. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and is safe." And finally, on guidance, in all things, all thy ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Thou shalt guide me with thy counsel, and afterwards receive me to glory. The Lord is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. For thou wilt light my candle, the Lord my God will enlighten many darkness. Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dave. Now I'd like to call Val Brown up to introduction of our guest.
Thank you very much. For those of you I have not personally met, I'm Val Brown. I'm the Executive Director for the Greater Williamson Road Area Business Association. And if anybody has time, I would love to talk to you at some point about all things wonderful on Williamson Road. But I'm thrilled to be here. I've been a Kiwanis for a couple of years now, and I'm finally being put to work, so it's a good thing. And he asked me to say why I became a Kiwanis. I grew up in upstate Vermont. My dad was mayor. So he was a Kiwanis, he was an elk, he was a Knight of Columbus, he was an eagle, and whatever else was, so we're just trying to follow in his footsteps, and they're great footsteps to follow in. So now it gives me great pleasure and privilege to introduce to you our members, and we're excited. It's a whole age. So we're really, really excited about that. So yes, congratulations. So as I call your name, I will call the name of the guest and his or her sponsor, and then ask those people to stand and then stay standing until all have been introduced. And Clark, you've already been introduced, but you are first on my list. Please stand. Nick Simonis. He is a guest of Eddie Smith. Tanya Thomas. She's a retired teacher from the Roanoke City Public Schools, and she's a guest of Jackie Bledsoe. Jim Graves is a guest of Jim Vick. Matilda Bradshaw is here with her husband John. Richard Bradshaw is here. He's a guest of Harry Zulon. Brian Weiberg is here. He is a guest, and I'm going to share it with Chris Rouse, and myself. And then Brian's guest is Kimber Boris. She is a senior from a local high school. Antonio Hodges, who is a guest of Greg Leinberger, and he also dropped off his application today. And then Jeff is a twofer. His other guest is Jeff White. Thank you. Who is our entertainment today? Thank you. Thank you, Val. Now I'd like Steve McGraw to come forward and give us leadership awards. And we're going to start having this every month. A little segment on membership.
Thank you, President Joyce. When Roanoke Kiwanis Club past president, Dr. Harry Wickens, and I were serving together on the Board of Supervisors for Roanoke County in early December of 1985, he asked me to attend a meeting of this club. The next meeting I came to was the one where we had Christmas for the West End kids, and if the first meeting didn't hook me, the second one did, and so I joined this club in January of 1986. Now approaching 40 years of perfect attendance, including terms of office on our board on various committees, and having served as club president 30 years ago in 1995, I know that my decision to join this club was truly a life-changing one. Over those decades, I have recruited dozens of new members, several of whom are still active in this club. When you recruit new members, you hope that they will be actively involved in this club and will stay so for life. For example, when I recruited our club's first woman member, Linda Price, in 1987. She was very active, soon recruiting Jackie Bledsoe, who became our club's first woman president. Jackie, please raise your hand. As you can see, Jackie is still very active. Later, I recruited Mandy Ayler, another of our past presidents, and J.C. Taylor, yet another past president, who later invited Coach Joe Gaither to join our club. And Coach Joe and the entire Shiloh Baptist Church come out and help us put on the fun day at the Melrose Library in late May and early June. Joe, please raise your hand. When I recruited old motorcycle riding friend Kenny Brooks, one of our consistently loyal pancake flippers over many years, he recruited his sister, Andre, who became our club's third woman president. Andre and Kenny aren't here today, but they're usually here, so let's applaud them too. Just as Andre had a wild side, she recruited Reggie Wood, who was another of our past presidents, as you know. Over the next few months, our club's membership committee will feature testimonials about their experiences by some of our members, primarily emphasizing new member recruitment and retention. Please, if you have a story you wish to tell about recruiting and what has happened with those that you recruited, please talk to, what's your name again? Harry Zuloff. I had to get even with Harry. He always thinks that I'm in Florida. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Next, I would like to ask Brenda Meyer to come forward. We, this week, start getting out our grant presentations. So from now to spring, we will be giving grants, which is what we're about, serving our community. So would you please come and get your first grant this year?
Thank you. My name is Randy Myers, and at the end of last month, the grants committee met for a marathon session to select local groups that provide services to either the youth, elderly, or the environment. One of the groups we selected was the Adult Care Center, and Guy Bird is here today. Guy, would you come on up? Guy is going to tell you a little bit about how the organization plans to use the money from the grant.
Sure, I got it. Thank you, Randy. I'm really proud and honored to be here today to accept this grant from the Kiwanis Club. And for many of you who may not know this, the Kiwanis Club is one of the founders of the Adult Care Center, which opened in 1983. So we've been around for a while. We've served thousands of members of our community, most of whom are cognitively and or physically impaired. And they're still living at home. They can't be left unattended during the day when their family caregivers need to be at their work or need some respite. So the money that we receive today from you all will be used to help roughly a third of our enrollment who require a certain amount of financial support from us to come. We like everybody to come at least twice a week, but most people want to come more than that. And so we work with them through a grant like this and some others to make it possible for as many people as want to come for as many days as possible to be able to do that. So I want to thank you for that. it's a real help. We've been doing some things this year that we haven't done before, and I wrote it down, so I want to be sure I don't overlook anything. We have been a wellness arts sponsor for the Roanoke Symphony this year, and that led to, among other things, they're sending a trio once a month to our place to entertain, kind of like the Easy Pickings group that Mike knows about, who also do that. We had an evening of jazz at 5 Points Music Sanctuary. We were twice at First Fridays to help pour the beer and sell the tickets and things. And to my great surprise, that operation has been every other year you could apply to participate with First Fridays. So this year was our second time. And I just got an email today that said, if we want to apply next year, we can, and we will, I can assure you. Lastly, Taziki's has had a special spirit, they called it, where they shared some of their revenues with us from that night. And then we had a golf tournament in last month or September, which was very successful. It was our second golf tournament. Third one will be next year in September. And then lastly is Thanksgiving is coming up before long, and I'll be bringing a sign-up sheet to ask some of you to sign up and help us with serving the food and getting our crowd well served. This is one time a year where every person who is enrolled at the Adult Care Center can bring their family with them. Usually it's a husband or a parent. And so we have a large crowd on that day. And so we need the help. And Kiwanis has done this for many years, and it's very much appreciated. I will say, though, that we'll probably have to have a limit on how many volunteers we can accept, because I don't want to have more volunteers, which I have had on occasion, than could really feel productive. So I don't want that to happen. But thank you again to all of them. Much appreciated. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Guy. Okay, announcements. I have so many pieces of paper. Jill Slush has asked that we put on the table Family Services Grand Angel Project. This is something that we have supported for years. And how this works, she's starting now because they need it to be, the deadline is so they can do the shopping. So Jill, would you stand up so people can see you? You need to give the money, or you can go to the QR code and donate money. But she'll be asking to 12 for us to support the Grand Angel Tree. So thank you, Jill. Also, it's the last take on lobsters. So if anybody hasn't got their lobsters, it's the end. You can grab it and you sign up today. They will be delivered on November the 8th. And you can say whether you want it cooked or not. They're $25. The money needs to be paid before we can get the lobsters. So you either make a check to run the Kiwanis Club or cash, and you can give it to Mike Francis or John Montgomery. It's not something that we can put on your bill. So sign up for lobster. All right. Sherry Hartman, would you like? Joyce, among other things, like maybe a jewel crown heist and other things. We gave her a crown the other night. Joyce came and helped out at our fall festival that we participated in with the Melrose Library.
And I wanted to thank her so much, as busy as she is as president, she was there. And a number of you all helped us out at a glorious day. At Melrose, right next to our playground. So we got the joy of watching the kids play on the playground, which always flutters my heart. And then we also, right next to our nature park, and we spent that time gathering information from the participants that day about what they want to see at the nature park and at our newly created potential amphitheater that Don Wood has been working so hard to create at our nature park. So we heard from them what they would like to hear happen over there. So I wanted to take a moment to recognize those of you, if you would please come forward and line up here. I would like to give you a little bag, a tote bag. Some of them say Mother Earth, others are just colorful. Because you do right in the room. You help us carry the weight of making a difference in the community by coming out and volunteering. If you are, I want to recognize those of you who came out at the Fall Festival, those of you who came to our cleanup on September 13th, and yet again made a difference by removing litter or bending over backwards at the nature park garden like Don Wood and others to remove the weeds. And those of you who helped be a part of our garden brigade throughout the summer. A lot of you came. I'm looking at some of you, so please don't be shy. I want you to come forward, please, and line up here so everybody could see the depth and breadth of our volunteer work. And I'm going to give you a tote bag to take home. You too. Thank you, Sherry. Now, the final crowd answer today. We're calling it a pop-up party. It's going to be like a Mexican farm, Mexican Thursday, November 6th, from 6 to 8 p.m. So, I think because that's where that is. And we're doing up the directory. If there's a new number, like to update the picture or have a new picture. We don't have it at all in our directory. We're happy to take your picture. So can you picture get with Dawn because we're going to wrap this up soon. Now, today we have the that's all the announcements. Now, that's so if we please come forward. At this point, this month is, I think, we're never in this principle. It's been going on for a moment. We have had 27 brags donated
$267 to the Kiwanis Foundation. That is super. So thank you for your brags. A quick brag in part two is, I want to give a brag on Courtney Plaster, such an amazing partner for us for promoting environmental awareness, having promenades, pollinator promenades at the nature park, and on the cleanups that we do to improve the watershed that feeds Hortons Branch and Roanoke River. We have another opportunity to help, and this is going to be upstream from Hortons Branch where we usually are. So it's a different spot if you want to live for more cleanup duties. This one will take place. You've got flyers on your tables. We're meeting at Shining Stars Montessori at Bill Heights Park in Northwest Roanoke. So there's a QR code on here to sign up, or you can just be in touch with me or Courtney. Thanks.
It's a great day to be a Kiwanian. Good afternoon. I'm Chris Rouse from Legacy Insight Consortium, and I have a couple of updates, primarily on our service leadership program. We have changed our meeting date, so we're going to have our next meeting next Wednesday, immediately following this meeting. So we call all SLP committee members to that meeting, please. We would appreciate your participation. And I'd also like to thank all of our service leadership program committee members for their great leadership in our community as they work with our 6 key clubs. And also we have about 2 or 3 advisors that work with our action club. So let's just recognize those great people. And specifically, we've heard this name earlier today. I'd like to shout out to Joe Gaither. Coach Gaither is one of our advisors for the William Fleming Key Club, and he's been able to identify 3 students there that will be attending the Key Leaders Weekend in mid-November. So let's have a special round for Joe. And also Mike Loveman. I don't see Mike today, but Mike is one of the advisors. Oh, Mike's over there. Sorry, Mike. Mike Loveman. I'd like to recognize him for sharing information about the Action Club in our recent newsletter. Let's hear it from Mike Loveman and all of his colleagues. All right, lastly, and maybe as important, we have a wonderful guest today. His name is Brian Ryberg. I've gotten to know Brian Creative. I met him through Val Brown, the godmother of networking. And I'm really, really impressed, not only with Brian, but with his firm. I went to visit him several days ago. 5 Points Creative is an award-winning firm. Even if you don't care about websites, please take me hi to Brian after the meeting or contact him at 5 Points Creative. You will not be sorry that you did that. And then lastly, I think I've already said, I'd like to thank Val Brown for connecting me. All right. Appreciate you all. Everybody have a good day.
That's for here. I am rendering a collective brag, but the individuals be recognized not with a bag, but with some bills. Anyway, I wanted to give thanks to the volunteers who helped with the Spooky Sprint Saturday past by the West End Center fundraiser. They raised something between $8,000 and $10,000 last Saturday, I believe. But there were some Kiwanians there who were engaging in a morning of inspired activity. There are many opportunities for such. We've heard about some more this morning, the cleanup and the event at the Adult Care Center. In any event, there on Saturday to help were President Joyce Montgomery, Vice Presidents Mike McAvoy and Jimmy Lee, board members Jeff Fick and Fred Jeter,
and ever energetic and consistent West End Center supporter, Lois James. So here is a brag for them collectively for their morning of inspired activity.
Hi, it's Dave Hartman. Over the years, I have fiddled with the guitar. I've played a little bit, and on occasion, I've been arrested for trying to sing. And as I retired, I thought, well, I might develop more skills. My son has been fiddling with the violin, and so we have discovered a teacher. And he's here today, Jeff White, who performed. He stepped out, unfortunately. But anyway, he's our violinist in the beginning. He's wonderful violinist, but also a great teacher. And he's going to try to help me gain some sense of music. When you forget part of what you're supposed to say, then you have to come back up here and pay for a brag buck. I also meant to mention that my other recruits to the club over the years who are still active are former Commissioner of Revenue Nancy Horn, clerk to the Board of Supervisors Rhonda Perdue, former Roanoke City Mayor Sherman Lee, and current Delegate Sam Rasul. Now I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, braggers. Before we start our program, where's the card? Does anybody have the card? Are you the last one? Is he the last one? Okay. If you'll give it to John, we can. If you will give it to John, we will move on with our program. I want to bring up James Matthews to introduce our program.
Good afternoon. I'd like to introduce Natalie Handy. She is a native of Tennessee. Yeah, native of Tennessee, brought to Roanoke. She's taller than me. I think she'll need it up here too. Yes. It's a finicky microphone. Brought to Roanoke from Hollands and fell in love with it and stayed here. She's had a long career in government relations grant writing in terms of caregiving, foster caregiving, and she is going to talk with us today about her foundation, Care Forward.
Thank you so much, James, for that very kind introduction. And thank you, Sherry, for connecting me to Kiwanis. Very, very happy to be here to be able to present to you guys. I'd like to talk with my hands. So if I hit the mic, just know I'm used to walking. So I'm very proud to be here. I know that I'm from Tennessee and I don't know a stranger and I'm long-winded. So I'm going to kind of get to things. So 20 minutes is like perfect, but I want to be able to tell you guys about Care Forward and the work that we're doing. We're a new company here in Virginia and did our beta testing here. And but we are a technology company, but not really. We're technology as a platform. But we're hybrid, and a hybrid meaning that we have people, because for me, relationships, really are the oxygen of human development. We all connect through our relationships, and I'm so proud to be in front of you guys, especially because all of you have servant hearts. And so this should speak to you, and this is an issue that every one of us will face, which is the need for care. Whether you need care or someone that you care for needs care, we will all be caregivers at some point. So I'm going to push along, and I'm going to show you this video because it's easier, and you will see some fantastic 80s hair. And so I have no shame in my game. So I'm going to start this and then I'll come back and we'll continue. I've worked in the mental health field, working with children and families specifically in the foster care system for over 25 years. And I'm the founder and CEO of Care Forward. I am JJ Elliott Hill, and I'm the oldest family center. I was in the finance industry for 17 years, and I am the chief financial officer of Care Forward. Most people didn't realize our mom had Parkinson's. It was natural to see our mom's arm inside our dad's. And so people wouldn't see that he would be holding her up if she were to stumble a little. When our dad passed, we didn't really think about who was going to care for our mom. We were in such shock because our dad was only 58. And so I get a call from JJ, and she says, something's going on with mom. She's hallucinating. And we need to go to Tennessee, and we need to figure out the healthcare system. So mom's medication finally gets straight at this amazing facility down in Florida. And at that point, we had a decision to make as a family. After a lot of discussion and prayer, it would ultimately be baby sister, Emily, who would move from out of state back to Tennessee. From the beginning, we had some concerns because we were having a really hard time finding a respite provider, someone to provide relief to Emily. The case manager that was helping us coordinate benefits, like mom's meals that were brought in once a week, she was never able to get that coordinated. And simple things like that, a drop off of a meal occasionally, Emily doing some yard work, anything like that would have been so helpful. There was a point where we moved on into skilled nursing. It was a good decision for her and for our family. But we had a lot of fantastic items that we wanted to bless somebody with, to give them. I know as Natalie and I were in the car frustrated because we were thinking, what are we doing all this stuff in this garage? The idea of blessing it forward, finding a way to connect people in need with people who had things to give, that was Care Forward. That's where the idea came from. And at that moment, Care Forward was born. Care Forward is a technology platform that connects individuals in need with community members who donate time, talent, or resource. The goal of Care Forward is to bring this community together. It's helping someone stay in their home longer because we know that there are healthier outcomes when you're able to stay at home. Care Forward is really easy. An individual who has a need shares that need with their case manager. The case manager writes 3 or 4 sentences just describing what that person's need is. And then volunteers are notified by email, or they go on the website and they look and say, hey, I can do that. Or, hey, I have that item. Or, hey, I can help out with part of it. We connect the 2 individuals together, and we have a need met and a life change. As a volunteer, if you'd like to help, we're looking for time, talent, and resources. Now, what is that? Well, if you're willing to give your time and to sit with someone, that's perfect. If you're willing to give your talent, let's say you can change the shower head. That's perfect as well. And if you don't have time or talent, then you can give your resource. And that might be contributing to helping someone that doesn't have a bed, for example. Care Forward keeps folks safe in a number of ways because safety is of the utmost importance to us. We partner with organizations, businesses, faith community, government entities that allow for individuals to share the faith where the individual in need and the volunteer come together to exchange the items that have been requested. For individuals who have a need that are in their home or require transportation, we also do background checks because that's really key to keeping everyone safe. You decided that you're ready to take the next step. Go to careforward.io to learn more about how you or your business
can volunteer, or to learn more about exciting partnership opportunities. At Care Forward, we like to say, strangers become neighbors, weaving kindness into the fabric of our community. The goal of Care Forward is to change one individual, one family, one community.
Okay. Get back over here. Oh, thank you. That's not the end. It's calm down. You're like, no, that was the end, Natalie. That was fine. Just keep going. There's tape. So, you know, and clearly that's my sister, JJ. Clearly she's older. And that's why I always use that joke with everybody. She's only 2 years older than me. But we come from a place, and I don't know about you guys, we come from a place where there's limited resources. And especially now more than ever, we are faced with individuals needing more assistance, whether it's food assistance right now because of challenges and differing policies. But I think we're going to see it a lot more. And my background is 25 years in the mental health field and having worked in that with that population. And you never know when someone is going to be in need. You yourself don't know when you're going to be in need. When my dad passed away, we immediately went in. We were not prepared. We were 3 daughters and we were not prepared. And then when my husband got diagnosed with a head and neck cancer 3.5 years ago, I was not prepared. And so I didn't know what it was to be a caregiver. I knew what it was to be a daughter. I knew what it was to be a wife. And there's so many resources out there. But for us, and this is why JJ and I started this, is that people don't know, but people want to help. And if you can simply share what the need is, 9 times out of 10, people will raise their hand and say, I can do that. I can help you. And it's the little things. It's the little things that matter. And so right now we have a crisis in care. And I will say, we know that many, right now, the baby boomers are retiring at 11,000 individuals per day. We will not have enough paid caregivers available to care for us as we age. And that leaves the burden to 63 million unpaid family caregivers today per a recent study. I'm going to make sure this slide deck is always shared with you guys. I'll make sure the link gets in there. But there are 63 million per the most recent AARP study. And that also was done and completed with the National Alliance for Caregiving. And so the importance of supporting our caregivers as well as the individual in need is equally important, because caregiving is also it's not just a personal family issue, but it's a business issue. It is a church issue. It is a nonprofit issue. It affects every one of us. And there are reasons that we have organizations, civic organizations, that are built on service. And if I were to ask everyone where you were from right now, it would be a mix of, I go to church here and I'm also a business owner. I run a nonprofit and I also do this, because we're not pigeonholed into these one little thing. We are so many things. And this is the reality is I believe that we have kindness in our society. I think right now it's hard to sometimes see it with what we see on the news, but I think so many people, if given the opportunity, will say, yes, I choose to support you. I choose to support Sherry. I choose to support you. And it doesn't matter about what we look like or where we're from, because when people need care, they need care. They just need care. And so that's where the solution comes in. And that's where we developed Care Forward. I'm sorry, what? Because we didn't really have, well, I didn't have a cell phone for a long time. And so, you know, but technology is the way that we can use it in a really positive way to connect individuals. That's the beauty of technology. It can be really scary and sometimes it's not used for all the good, but in this case, this connects people. The silver lining of the pandemic, if you really think about it, is how we got online and we started connecting. And I have more friends from across the world, and I know everybody will be shocked that I don't know a stranger, but I have more friends and people that I've connected with because of this technology. And that's our goal, is to help these individuals in need. So when we say care in action, we truly mean Care Forward is care in action. It is not an information and referral source. It is simply a request gets put in and somebody says, I need this. And we tell a story, because that's how we connect, is through storytelling. And so there are all kinds of ways. And when we started Care Forward, I had no clue what some of these requests were going to be like. And so therefore, a number of ways, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the beta test, but make sure I get long-winded, flag me down. I don't care if you got a lot of flags up here. And so there's a lot of flags, everybody can count. And so if you think about who it is, there's two ways that people qualify. They're disabled, they're our aging population. These are individuals with complex or chronic illnesses. Also individuals who have serious mental illness and who have substance use disorders, because at times we can't see those two areas, especially mental illness and substance use disorder. They have families, they have caregivers, and we need to make sure that we're supporting those individuals to remain healthy. So if you say, well, gosh, Natalie, that seems like everybody, that's the point. I want everyone to qualify as much as I can. The real qualifier is if you don't have a need met within 7 to 10 days, you will have a negative health outcome. And we track 34 of those categories, because what it does is ultimately, as a community, those costs can be passed down to each one of us. Think about how healthcare works. We want everyone as healthy as possible, because the healthier we are, the lower our claims are, lower our bills are. This is dollars and cents. And so the people who put in requests for us, we partner with local departments of social services. I cut my teeth at Roanoke City DSS. And so case managers and care coordinators are the ones who vet the requests to make sure that there's not another service that they could receive. I also partner with all 5 health plans, because many people don't understand their benefits. I don't know about you, but I typically know what's my copay and what's my max out of pocket, right? Well, how much am I paying out of each paycheck? But when you start digging into the dirt and into the weeds of your health plan, a lot of people don't understand that there's a lot of benefits that the health plans can cover that you're paying for. And that's why the health plans for any residents or individuals who are getting in request, the health plan actually checks their benefit to make sure we don't tax our volunteer network, if that makes sense. We don't want to go to volunteers or our partner organizations if the health plan has that in there. So that's really important. Our network of volunteers include individuals like yourselves, as well as organizations like yourselves, because you all as an organization could say, yes, we're interested in supporting this request because it aligns with our mission and our values and what we're looking to support. We also look at businesses, faith community, nonprofits, higher education. I'll show you our partners at the last slide, but is not one industry's or one individual's responsibility. It's all of ours. So it's going to take the village and the village next door to be able to support these folks. And the impact, it impacts us on a direct level and a macro level, because when our community is healthy and well, people want to be around that. People want to live here. They want to reside here. And I think that's really important. So let me tell you, here's my quick one. So we did a beta test with the city of Roanoke and Roanoke County. We also partnered. And so making sure that these individuals, so we had 15 requests, all of them were met. And they were all, our goal is within 10 days. We had most of them met within 48 hours, and that's delivered. That's how fast the community will respond to needs. We had 123 actions or items, because remember, time, talent, or resource. And I love what my sister says in that video. She's like, well, if you don't have any time or talent, and I was like, Jay, that's kind of mean. But I think it's funny, because some people may say, I have this item around my home. And for example, we had a request for a lady with dementia. She was able to live in the home, but she was her symptoms was worsening because she was forgetting to take her medication, and she needed a timed pill dispenser and a pill cutter. And a very dear friend of mine who had lost her husband to cancer a year earlier had a pill cutter, and she had never gotten rid of it. And she said, well, would you use this? And I said, 100%, because that's paying it forward. And I love that. And it gives me cold chills now because it's just kindness. And why would we just waste? It's waste not, want not. And so the part that always catches most people's attention is that those 15 requests, we had a value of $32,000. Only 1,500 was cash donations. The rest of it was in kind. That tells you a lot about how we can also impact our environment. And so the thing is we deflected $2.4 million in high cost services. In other words, people didn't go to the emergency department inappropriately. People didn't have to stay in the hospital longer than needed. People didn't go there. Homelessness. A caregiver didn't have to quit their job. So we track those 34 categories. So can you imagine what we can do with more than 15 families if we can impact 2.4? And so these were, I'm going to breeze over this. We primarily worked with adult services and adult protective services, but the interesting part is how many people had multiple health conditions. So 8 people out of the 15 had 3 or more of those health conditions, which means it could have been aging, chronic, and serious mental illness. It could have been disabled and chronic illness. It just simply says people just don't fit into one category. When they're struggling, they cross over into different health categories. And that's where we really get into the risk of high cost. And so these are types of deflection categories. If you'll notice that you'll see at risk of contact with social services. Friends, I'm going to be very transparent. Virginia and most states really fund children's services. The funding is very much there. But the moment you turn 18, funding becomes very limited. I did not know that. And especially until my 22 years, my mom is only 71. And supporting my husband, a cancer survivor, is very different. And navigating those systems are very different. And so this is a way that we're able to demonstrate how we're keeping people in their lowest level of care. And you have better health outcomes if you can live in your home for as long as possible. It's not that skilled nursing and other programs. The gentleman who has the adult day program, thank you. My mom did adult day program while she was living in the community. And that engagement is so important because social isolation in our community is one of the contributing factors to people's health and wellness being significantly impacted. And so these were just a couple of examples. And I'm going to keep going a little bit further here. I want to show you this. This is where we are today. So we started Care Forward. I'm mindful of my time. We started Care Forward almost 3 years ago in thinking about it. And then we had this group out of Canada that developed the platform. And then last year was when I did the beta and I held my breath. And we had those results that I showed you. And then I received a grant with the Department of Social Services for 4 counties in Virginia. So Grayson, Russell, Smith, and Washington County. We applied with the Wellspring Foundation. And we just launched October 17th. I mean, like a minute ago. And our first request was for a washer for a woman who did not have a washer with 2 other people that lived with her. And she had been washing her clothes in the sink as well as her sheets. And it was impacting her health, but also she was isolating because she smelled and she didn't feel comfortable going out in the community. And we know those folks. And we didn't, and it's not too much to try to help somebody. And so we looked for gently used washer. I love me some Facebook Marketplace. I always joke that I'm a sorcerer because I source off Marketplace some days for the bigger items. And that we had someone in our launch raise their hand and say, I'll go get that washer for her. And we met it on the spot and it was delivered last Thursday. That changed her life. And so, and a WD-40 because that hose was on the spigot. Just know I'm a good summer. I know WD-40 gets everything off. And so the other grant that we received that I'm very proud of that impacts you is the Department of Behavioral Health has given us an Exhibit D grant, and we're partnering with Piedmont Community Services. That's Franklin County, Henry, Martinsville, and Patrick counties. And we're looking to deflect people who have serious mental illness from state hospitalization and readmissions. Because if you're not aware, the hospitals are full and people have to sit in the EDs and then they don't qualify and they don't get the things they need, or they come back, they're frequent flyers. And so we want to help them to be able to get the supports they need in the community. You'll notice I saw that the Free Foundation was on here. I just need you to know I love Robin Ramsey. Free Foundation is an amazing organization. We partner with them. And so, but we also partner with Easy Mobility. We partner with Whistler. And so what I'm asking of you guys today is, I want to be friends. I'd love for you to partner. And the best part about this is there's no obligation. And if you want to volunteer, it takes you 30 seconds to sign up. And if you see something that leans into you and you say, that aligns with me. If you see something that says, I can see that, I've had a family member, I can relate, then raise your hand and say, I can help. And if you don't, I always say this to everybody, just pray for it and share it on social media, because I love me some crowdsourcing. So I'm very proud to bring this to you guys. If you're interested in volunteering, I love that you all are using the QR codes, because I'm not that cool. But I've got a QR code because my director of marketing, who's a bit younger than me, is like, Natalie, put a QR code on. I'm like, yeah, okay, can I just call somebody? But you can call me. You can do the QR code to volunteer. Again, it takes 30 seconds. I'm going to tell you right now, even though I'm working towards getting our beta, getting the funding for here, for the Roanoke Valley, again, I'm looking to partner with departments of social services to go after grant funding. My long-term goal is I believe every Virginia should have access to this. I think it should be offered through DSS. I think it should be offered through health departments, DBHDS, every entry point for a person who is in crisis, who has an immediate need that puts them at risk. They should have the opportunity to have it. And so these pilots give me the opportunity to demonstrate to the General Assembly and to health plans that this is worth our tax dollars. And so thank you for having me. I've gone over my time. I love how you just stood here. Look here, we're just going to be friends. So please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Said she's happy to stay afterwards and take any questions that you might have. And Natalie asked for her honorarium, come back up, to go to Free Foundation. Free, which stands for Foundation for Rehabilitation Equipment and Endowment. So, yeah, sure.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yes, we'll have our picture. Yeah. All right, we have a very special little announcement to make. The love that we have for Rupert just goes on. And although Rupert didn't make it here today, his best friends, John Bradshaw, was so kind to make a very generous donation or brag buck when we were Rupert today. So for that, John, we thank you. Also, Amy says, there's plenty of cake left. Please take some home. And tasted it, so it's safe. It's good. So please get a piece of cake for you, your friend, and take this home because Amy doesn't want to take it home. And we are taking a cake to Woodward as well. So it's going to take one way or another tonight. All right, next week, our speaker will be in town at the house. And with that, I'm listening he's gotten off the Zoom. Birthday.